Okay, this is Rich Prendergast for the Town of Oline, WPCA. It's August 8th, 7:30. We're having a regular WPCA meeting. The agenda tonight is similar to other agendas. We have two meeting minutes for approval because we missed a meeting in July. We have a budget update planning as an item. We have a Carmody service options and reminder mailing update. And we have the Soundview Sewer Miscellaneous Area B, status of clean water funding application, additional funding and grant applications, and included in that is a discussion about an IMA update with one of the downstream, I guess, partners of us. Then we have correspondence, new business, public comment, and adjournment. I've already tested that Andrea can hear me, so, and Andrea, I can hear you, so, with that, I will go to the first, or second item is the approval of minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the June 13th, 2023, regular meeting minutes? So Steve Tsunami indicated a motion as such. Can I get a second? Dimitri seconded. Any discussion about those meeting minutes? Any comments, concerns? I'm not hearing any. So I'll take a vote and I will call Andrea, who's remote. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Andrea, how do you vote? Aye or nay?
Aye.
Good, motion passed unanimous. Thank you. The next one is the approval of the minutes for the June 27th. This is a special meeting. It is executive session. I will say that these meeting minutes are really thin because the meeting was open the meeting, go to executive session, close the meeting. No motions were made and so forth. So can I have a motion for the June 27th special meeting minutes approval? Steve indicated a motion and seconded. Rob seconded. Any discussion?
My name is spelled wrong.
Okay, thank you, Andrea.
Yep.
Any other comments? I've noted that your name is spelled wrong. Those will go in, the way this works, those go into the meeting minutes of this meeting. And now I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving these minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Andrea, just confirming, I think you said aye.
Correct.
Motion passed unanimous. The next thing is the budget update and planning. Andrea, if you want, I could share the screen, but since it's just you,
Yeah.
we could probably just go over the summary of where we are, how much money we budgeted, how much money we have left, what was spent.
So we're starting a new budget year. The big thing that happened is we put in a carryover request that is currently going to the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen. So what we did was first we released our previous approved carryover in the amount of $46,238.29. It remained unused for several years, but we did request a carryover in two areas, which was WPC legal counsel for $35,000 and project consultant for $37,000. So the net difference was $25,761. We only used about 15% of our budget last year. So we remain very conservative. Plus our budget last year reflected a 30% decrease from the previous year. So we're waiting to hear about an approval for our carryover request. The encumbered monies for this month was one invoice that was received from Steve, and that was the $299.25 for copying the plan. So thank you, Steve. Did you get your check yet?
I don't know.
Okay, well, it's
They're
encumbered.
waiting, the check is waiting for you here. I saw that email. I'm not sure why they didn't mail it, but
Okay, good.
they asked if you could pick it up. Yeah.
So that's no longer encumbered. It's expensed.
It's not in our mailbox, so, yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay, well, I'm glad it's cut. And then, the other bill that came in was the annual bill for Carmody. And it will be reflected on this year's budget, and there was no increase. I did have a call with him, and, he thought we were paying more than we were, and I got him to keep the price consistent with what we're paying, which is $2,998. So that's, we've requested that to be invoiced, so right now it's encumbered. So that's what we have here, but then, Rich, did you want to talk about the attachment on the cards in the budget, or do you want to wait?
We're still on the budget item, so the last thing is to talk about where our budget is now and how much money we have left.
Okay, so we have a full budget except for the expense of Carmody, which is $2,998, which is the only encumbered expense on our new budget. And we're waiting to hear about the carryover. And the budget for this year was $61,922.
I noticed that there's some call-in people that have called in, and I was wondering if one of them is a WPCA member.
Yes, it's Brad Yerkes.
Okay, I think I got you. Brad, so Jennifer, could you put in Brad Yerkes joined at this time? Let me edit your name, Brad.
Thank you.
The other call-in user, are you a WPCA member? It's okay if you're not. So, okay. Okay, so we're, right now, we're just finishing up the budget, item number 3. Andrea, is there anything else that you, want to add about the budget?
I think that's all I can add until we get more information.
Okay. So the next item is, Carmody service options and reminder of mailing updates. So what this is, when we're changing of our clerks, we noticed a gap in what the other clerk was doing, and the idea was, what if Carmody took over the administration of the database? I'm gonna just briefly describe some of the details, and we have a solution. Andrea, Steve, and I worked on this, as well as the First Selectman's staff, Katie Balaka, I'm saying that wrong. So we occasionally get residents where their information on their septic system is incorrect. So we have to go in and edit that information. We have to do at least once a year where we take a refresh from the town's assessor's office and update the properties, especially what it's doing is updating the property if someone sold the property to somebody new. That is done where we, get a file from the assessor's office and give it to Carmody, and then they update it. And then the last thing is, we send out notices to people reminding them when their septic system is due to be emptied and cleaned and inspected. So with that, we were given a quote, and I'm just gonna summarize here, from Carmody to do all that work for us for 12 grand. We've talked to the First Selectman's office, and our WPCA clerk is willing to take on additional work of managing our database, of doing what I just described. So that's mailing 4 times a year, 1 to 4 times a year, depending on the volume. A couple edits. I've done some edits myself. We also set up the process where if a septic hauler sends in a fax or something, and we ask them to join the Carmody software, which is not just this town, it's a number of towns. And then they can enter in directly. So one of the things we're discussing is whether we should go with Carmody's administrative services or go with the towns. And I think it's quite obvious, the town services are way less expensive than 12 grand. Should the volume increase significantly and it becomes, a problem, then we might have to obviously relook at it. But so far, it hasn't been a problem. There was also one other thing where we tried to get Ledgelight to do this. And the previous director was adamant that he's not going to do it. He's retired. Maybe the new one will be more open. The contracts, depending on who you are, looks like it's both supportive of them doing it and not supportive of doing it. Ironically, they're maintaining their own database that's separate, that I don't really know the details of. And to tell you the truth, I'm not, if I can't see something and someone can't tell me where it is or give me an output, I kind of question if it exists. So I'll open it up for discussion. I gave you the background, but really the thought was, or at least what I'm suggesting, unless someone has an objection, we go down the path of using existing town resources to do the admin, which we think is not too difficult. Any comments from anybody or questions or concerns? Steve?
Well, I think we should also use the town. What Carmody wants is ridiculous. But I would like, when we do contract legislate health and safety. And I've talked with, I don't know if he's the new one or the old one now.
Steve Mansfield is the old one.
Oh, that's who I spoke with. There's a new one since I've spoken with them.
Is his name Steve Mansfield? The old one was Steve Mansfield.
That's the one I spoke with.
Yeah, yeah.
But regardless, if they are in the contract, it says they have to keep records. We should have access to those records.
Yeah, so like when you request it and you don't get it, and then you request it again, you don't get it, and then you ask details about it and you don't get it, that's what I'm talking about. That's,
Have our attorneys send them a letter and say for the contract, we want to look at the data you're collecting. Because if they're not collecting the data, then what do we have them for?
well, we have them for a lot of things. So,
I know
and as far as money goes, when we had a full-time person doing this work, it was less expensive. We lowered our costs when we switched to them. We also lowered the person that was dedicated to it. So I don't want to take on the battle because it's not just the WPCA. During COVID and stuff, they did health issues, they do a bunch of other things.
They're the health department,
Right,
basically.
yes.
But we should have that data. I mean,
Well-
we're gonna have the data anyway.
We have the data on our database that as far as the septic system details and pump outs, as far as we know. So, and any one of us, I can give you access to a special password. You want to go in there and like pull data and look at stuff, or I can send you reports. So
I understand all that. But we're paying for a product that we don't have. And this could be not just our town, it could be every town. They may not be keeping any data, in which case they're derelict in their duties and they should be called on.
yeah.
They said probably question the issue. They might say they will get all the data.
They
They should have their own database, they keep their own data.
I think what I have seen, and we have someone from Ledgelight that spends 2 days a week here. when they have an application for renovation or building a house with a septic system, that person from Ledgelight is looking at the design plans and confirming they comply with the requirements. I mean, you can go over to the desk and you see that, and it's in coordination with the zoning department. I do know they also answer lots of questions about, septic systems from the general public.
So what happens when I take it down? Something happens. Where does that take it?
So they're supposed to upload it to Carmody software, and then we can go in and print out every resident in the old line and can see that, yeah, it was pumped out. It resets the timing flag. So in 7 years, it's due again. And we have some probably work to do under Carmody software because we ask a lot of questions that aren't completed. And compared to other towns, we ask way more questions. The classic thing is septic system was pumped out, how much scum layer was there, how much solids was there, what's the condition of the baffles, those kind of things. And that's part of the inspection. And all that is part of our sewer avoidance program we've had here since the 1980s to try to maintain septic systems, because some people don't realize that you're supposed to maintain them. They think that it's a badge of honor to never pump it out, and it's not really something to be proud of.
But so the health department's supposed to have these records also.
So in my world, in my professional world, you do quality systems and you have documentation of what you're doing, and then you get audited, and the auditor comes in and says, prove to me you're in control. Show me your records. I don't know if there's an agency that does that with this, but that's what I think they should have. And that's what I think maybe you're alluding to. If someone said, show me your records, show me how you're complying with this,
Yeah.
you would say, here's my records. Here's, we have this percent people that are following the ordinance, and we have this many of cesspools and this many of septic systems, and, you'd have all that detail. Kind of shows you're trying.
Well,
So-
we would have that detail because
We have that because of Carmody. They should have it too.
by statute, they're supposed to have.
They are. They're supposed to be managing it.
Right.
They don't manage the sewers, they manage the septic systems.
Correct,
That B100A, all those rules apply.
correct. So by statute, they're supposed to have these records. So we're keeping double records. Theoretically,
Theoretically.
but we haven't been able to see their records. That's not,
I don't,
Would say, yeah, let's say septic works at big pump one tank for 3 years ago, I think, no. So it's nowhere.
the health district, the health legislature is supposed to be, is supposed to track that.
Yeah, but if they'll, if septic works doesn't send it to anybody, it's nowhere.
right.
I don't even know if there's a system with the health district.
Yeah, that's what I mean, there isn't, there's no system.
Right, and so by statute, they're derelict in their mission.
So it sounds like you want to wait for the new health director to have a discussion. With
I definitely want to have
Okay.
discussion.
I encourage that. So moving on, we all agree, I don't hear a motion to spend money in Carmody to have them do our admin work. And the last thing is the sending out the flyers. I talked to the first selectman's office staff. I have it shared now. I sent it to the people, and it's a little, index card. And it describes, hey, our records, say your septic system has been pumped 7 years for town ordinance. Please arrange for a pump out. For an error, please let us know and call your provider to have them update, because the provider, the septic hauler, is supposed to be able to go into the system and adjust it. We're sending out 2,000 of these. Probably, well, they were working on them half an hour ago in another flyer, so it's probably gonna go out soon. And we should do this on a regular basis, as people's septic systems expire.
That's both, man.
Yeah. So we're gonna get some expenses to this, but, that's part of the design and plan.
And we can be proactive, send them out to everyone. Questions that Carly asked and ask them when they're last, about it, so, pay for the house.
Well, the second part of the bingo card is we're sending it out to people that are overdue or about to be due. And there's
There's
a
2,000 people.
more or less.
Yeah.
It could be, and that's why we have in there, it said, it could be that it's an incorrect thing, and, please let us know. So, and we get occasionally, and that's what I was referring to earlier, we get occasional pump out system guy, the person, company that just sends it into our mailbox. Or the resident emails me. So the process is we go back to that hauler and say, please sign up for comment. And we have a link and the clerk will be able to do that. Because the previous clerk will be able to do it. Hey, sign up for Carmody and it's free to them. They have an iPhone or a smartphone, they can just do it right there while they're at the job site. Anyways. That's all I was gonna talk about that. Does anyone have any questions, concerns?
So if someone's delinquent, how do you handle that?
We're reminding them. We have the ability to find them. We have not done that. So we're trying to encourage people with a carrot, reminder. And really, if they don't do it, they're potentially hurting themselves too. It's kind of like maintaining your property. And you also maybe remember every now and then we have a resident that says, well, I don't use my system that much. Can I have an extension? And we generally don't give extensions unless it's someone says, well, I'm out of the country and I want to be there when they do it or something. So can you give me an extension for a month or two? The people that want an extension for another 7 years, I mean. Anyways. And generally speaking, I don't know of any time the state or anyone else has done oversight on us to say, hey, let me see your records. So. Any other questions? Okay, so moving on to 4B, Soundview Sewer Miscellaneous Area Projects, Clean Water Funds application status. We requested and submitted our design approval for 60% approval. We got a response back saying, this is mid-July, saying we're almost done with your 60% approval. We're sending it, and then they describe the process where they send it to the treasurer's office to confirm, and then they'll send it to us. They did give us the forms to fill out. I'm gonna ask Wood and Kern to start filling out the forms, and what these forms are is they submit expenses, and then the expenses are judged applicable or not. And then we get the money. We get a short-term loan. We pay that money to Wood and Kern, who then pays their subcontractors or themselves. They can finish the rest of the design, and it gets to 90% check, and then it's 100%, and then we can go out to bid. So the 60%, they have not gotten paid yet, Wood and Kern. And I can tell you, that's pretty extraordinary for them. They understand our issues and our problems, that we don't have that kind of money laying around, that it would be almost impossible for us. And this was part of the plan. But what it is what's interesting is the state. I mean, I asked for the 30%, which was approved. And they said, well, why don't you just wait for the 60%? So it's like a month away. So meanwhile, we're getting our invoices together. They're getting their approval together. Then we'll submit the invoices. Maybe we submit our invoices the end of August, and this is best case. And then I don't know, they said the first set of invoices will take a month, and then after that, it'll be like 2-3 weeks to approve invoices. I don't know if any of the members have had any feedback on reviewing the documents. I haven't seen anything in writing yet. I know people have checked out the design plans, but that is for the next leg, going from 60 to 90%, if there's edits or suggestions.
I do have a question.
Go ahead, Steve.
Can you send a link out to the specs? There's also on the computer too.
There's a digital copy, yeah.
Yeah. Can you send the link out to that? I don't think I have received it.
I can. Obviously, later, now,
Not right now?
not right now.
Yeah.
I've sent it before though, so you might have it, you just don't know it.
Well, I've looked, I mean, I don't throw emails out, I've looked under words that it could be.
Yep.
Like link and specs, I can't find it.
Yeah, so
I'm sure you have some, but I haven't looked at it.
So just so we're clear, I took the link from Wood and Kern, I downloaded the files, and then I put it on a secured Google Drive. And you'll get a link to Google. If you can't use or some reason if you have like an Apple, you might have problems accessing a Google Drive. Okay, I took that action down. So in the correspondence, I gave you the back and forth with the state regarding this, the 60% funding approval and so forth. Any other questions on that part before I move on? I'm not hearing any, so I'm gonna move on. So the next big thing was, the additional funding for the sewer project from the state to get, we requested, they promised us early this year, $17 million for all the beach associations, which amounts to about 24% addition money. So let me back up a little bit. The Clean Water Funds give us 25% grant, 20-year loan, 2%. That 25% grant gets paid back in the 2% loan over 20 years. So they don't really give you 25%. This is an additional 24% because they have a rule you can't get 50%, but you can get 49%.
Can you read that again?
So when they give us 25% grant, clean water funding, if you do the math and you take a loan out for, let's say, 100 grand, and they give you the 25%, and that rest of that money you pay back over 20 years at 2% interest, the 2% interest matches that 25% grant.
All right, so it's interest free.
Well, they're not giving us 25%, we're paying it back.
Well, no, they're reducing the basis of the project by
Well,
25%, and then you're paying 2% on the remaining balance.
but so if we have 75 grand loan, we don't pay 75 grand, we pay 75 grand plus 2% over 20 years.
Right.
It comes out to 100 grand.
If you have $100,000 loan, they give us 25%. Now it's at 75,000,
Right.
and then you pay 2%. It's interest at 2% on the 75,000.
Yes.
They give you, they could not, I mean, you could just get 100,000 with a 2% loan, which I mean, that you can pay back 120.
Yeah, well, okay. True.
They're granting 25% of the money.
That's how that's, their fund doesn't deplete.
If interest is 2% and inflation is 2% or over, at best they're staying even. At worst, they're losing money.
Well, they're not losing money. They have the same amount of money. The money might not be as valuable because project costs go up over the next 20 years, as we've seen it go up. But maybe I'm sorry if I went down a rabbit hole. The second part of this is the part that is kind of everything on it, is they offered us roughly 24.9% additional,
I just want to clarify something.
yes,
Because I think it's important. We have a loan, we have a bond amount for 9.2 million or thereabouts.
9.5.
9.5 million. We're gonna get a 25% grant, which is going to reduce that. So when we borrow money, it's gonna be at 7.7 million, 25% of, it's about 22.5 million. Yeah, about seven.
It'll be set.
7.2.
The original idea was 9.5 million, the applicable cost with the 25% grant would lower it to 7.44 million.
All right.
According to the
And
plan
that's,
submitted.
and that's, we would be borrowing 7.44 million,
Yes,
and then our basis alone is 7.44 million.
yes.
That's a. So the initial outlay for all our residents would be 7.44 million.
Yes.
I think that's a distinction.
Okay. So the 25% or 24.9% additional money that they offered in the form of a forgivable loan. We have sent a letter to Commissioner Dykes, Graham Stevens, another commissioner, the head of DEP, asking for an update. Somewhat forceful letter. When I say we, myself, the WPCA, the other private beach WPCAs.
And Tim. And
Tim, yes, of course, first selectman, yes, and
Devin.
yes, and our local representatives, and the response we got back was, we understand it's important, we understand the issues. They, plan on giving us a critical decision by September 1st, 2023. That's not what we asked for, it was June 1st. They said that they will give us an update on the progress August 10th, later this week. So what we're looking for, are you giving us the money or not? Because without the money, it's generally believed it's not economically feasible for other of the members of the sewer projects, the beach associations. It's over their bond. Since they're not in it, that pushes our costs, I believe, over our bond limit. If we had to take up, paying for a system. So I don't know what's gonna happen on Thursday. Because they won't schedule a meeting and they say they're gonna give us an update. And we've been asking them since February for an update. I really don't know what's gonna happen. If we get the money, okay, we move forward. If we don't get the money, it seems like, I don't know how, we switched to the point of saying we don't think it's economically feasible and we'll have to wait until prices come down. Or we find some other way to get the money, which, that comes across sarcastic. I don't mean it to be. Just, those are the options that I see. So I don't know what else to say. Does anyone have a question about that?
What is the project, how should they approve by then? We should.
So what Dimitri just asked, and I'll paraphrase if I get it wrong, just so microphone can hear, what was the project, how was it get approved? I'm gonna interpret to what you're saying is who does the approval? Who's the decision maker? I don't know, to be quite honest. Our contact is with the deep. But with these commissioners and the treasurer have a say in it. What we're told was Commissioner Dykes has not signed the required documents to give us the money. So even though the state and the deep want to, she needs to sign it and she's not willing to. And she has not responded to us. She has, Graham Stevens has responded. And he's also commissioners, the Bureau of Water Protection and Land Reuse. Now, we don't know what their issue is. So we're asking, give us the money, tell us what the issue is, or tell us you can't give us the money. So we don't know, and that's what we're trying to find what's going on. Yes, that's, I've asked for it sooner, but I mean, it's like, it would have been nice to have it before this meeting.
They cannot officially send us in writing that money.
We,
Just gonna update us.
we asked for that, and what they said is they're going to update us on August 10th, and they're striving to get the details by September 1st. Why is September 1st an issue? That leads me to the next subject. Explain it, but when we're done answering any questions on this part.
My point is that longer it's going to, more money is going to.
Yeah, so
Already it's gonna go along.
what Dimitri just said is the longer we wait, the more expensive it's gonna be. So I'm gonna go to the next item, which is, the reason September 1st was maybe a big deal is we have an intermunicipal agreement with New London that expires September 1st, 2023. And it has a provision in there that says we either start making payments or the flow, whichever comes sooner, or if September 1st comes, if we haven't made significant progress by no fault of our own, New London will renegotiate with us. We have started negotiations with New London. The updates was they asked for $250,000 more in money over 20 years from both the beach associations and the town of Old Lyme. They said for inflation. This is, by a lot of our view, this is asking us to say that there's inflation on equipment that's being depreciated. It doesn't make any sense. There's another provision in the IMA that says if they buy new equipment, it's called capital expenses, we own a share of that cost. So they're covered. But they requested this to go forward. Their first request was countered. The first request was all this money. We countered saying we'll give you a very little bit of money. We'll have they also wanted a higher interest rate. We'll give a lower interest rate. I'm not going to go into the details because it's still being negotiated. And if we wanted to go into details, we'd have an executive session. But I'm going to give you the flavor of how it's going. They also said that they wanted a provision that they could change the price at any time, any year, or the next 20 years. Obviously, we didn't agree to that because that's really not a contract. That's like calling up, that's like buying milk in the grocery store. But they also asked us for a $10,000 deposit, as well as the beach associations for a total $20,000 deposit to amend the contract. Plus attorney's fees, which traditionally attorney's fees have not been that expensive. This is their standard operating procedure. If developers want to talk to New London's WPCA, they have to give a $10,000 deposit. The deposit goes toward any purchase that was actually agreed to. It's forfeited if you don't come in agreement.
Will our $10,000? I didn't see that.
It will be. So what Steve is referring to is it's kind of the summary of the detail, but we're gonna put it in there, and they're gonna agree with it.
So it's not just a $10,000 fee.
It's a $10,000 deposit on the future purchases. Now, in my opinion, City of New London would be a little upset to find out that they gave away over $2 million of money that would go right to their bottom line. They don't have to buy new equipment for us.
Right.
They have existing capacity that they're not using, and they're selling that to us. But I understand their WPCA is trying to get the best deal for their town, and we're trying to get the best deal for our town. And they're agreeing to a 5-year extension. And hopefully yeah, there was a possibility, like, let's do a 1 year. If we had really strong assurance that we could build this power plant or this waste infrastructure and start making payments, or we could start making payments
Well,
and keep the deal.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just keep it so it's not.
Yeah, aren't, isn't the original one, aren't the payments based on, and
There's a number of things. So there's capital, and then there's flow. And then there's, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. There's the buy-in fee.
Yeah.
Then there's capital expenses and improvements that they make during the year, and then there's the flow. So those things, because I think I know where you're going.
What if we just start paying?
Yeah,
Have we done the numbers? to see if cheaper?
it's 30 grand for us, 72 for the beach associations.
And is it cheaper, is it cheaper to make the payments than to renegotiate with the higher interest rates and the fees?
It's probably cheaper if you know when we're gonna build and start producing. So the one thing the beach associations have this idea that you cannot bill residents for these fees until it's built. That's absolutely not true. It's more likely they don't want to, and I wouldn't blame them. Who would want to get a bill for something you don't have?
Most likely the refrain that is not gonna happen.
Well,
that's,
I think that's a valid concern.
it is, but I mean, why would you, well, I guess, what's the initial cost on? So the initial cost is $10,000, right?
Right,
To redo
that's
this?
money for ditch, you know,
I mean, we could pay the 30 if we were, if we
So-
knew we were gonna hook up, it might be cheaper to start paying for the capital equipment with no flow. They, on the other hand, may not feel that way, so they may not.
It's roughly, if it happens within 2 years, it's cheaper to pay now. Than to do it. It's 72, for us, it's 72 grand increase, I think. I have to check those
But then
numbers.
it's over 20 years.
No, I'm saying if you start the thing, contract paying now, and we pay 30, we save money if we start actually using the system within 2 years. It's actually 1.5 years,
when is the deadline?
September 1st,
You know, like then.
maybe,
Right.
maybe. So let me just, Dimitri just said, when's the deadline? It said September 1st. We'll know then, and I think maybe we will, maybe we won't. We'll know more this week. And we're pushing for the state to give us the details. But let's say the state says, okay, the details. That doesn't mean we can go run and build it. We get the details. The beach associations feel, some of them, the way they wrote the referendum is that any change in the deal, they have to go back and re-referendum. So that's another reason why we want to do it now while all the residents are there. Or, so the next month or so is going to be pivotal in this project.
I did like to see, or I'd like to see that the counter proposal was a little more reasonable.
So they went, I thought, really without any kind of real explanation. It didn't make any sense. We countered a marginal amount. And then they came back a little closer to us. And that came out an hour before this meeting. So it's not been evaluated, it's not been flushed out. But they did get rid of the one thing that we just could not live with, that they're gonna change the price every year.
Anytime they want.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I have an open discussion about anyone that's just, I mean, the way I'm working this, and if I'm wrong, tell me. I'm copying Steve on everything and Tim, and we go back and forth on this. We get to some kind of agreement that we think is the right agreement. I bring it back to you guys and say, here's the amendment in detail. And you all approve it, and you motion me to say, I approve you to sign it and recommend to the selectmen to sign it. The selectmen has another meeting to approve it. That's what we did last time. The beach associations, they do the same thing. Their WPCA boards vote to approve it or not, and then their board of governors vote to approve it or not. Then we all get together and sign it. And, oh, by the way, like, it looks like the $10,000 deposit or payment or whatever, we have to make that payment. Then it becomes in effect. That's what we did last time. So I just outlined the process, and I guess what I'm asking for, is it okay? And I don't know if I need a motion. Is it okay for me to continue down this process of flushing out what we think is the best deal, and then bringing it to this committee and asking this committee to approve the amendment?
I think, with a lack of any motion indicating none, then they're okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
The process should have motions.
But I think we should find out how $10,000 and the usage should pay 72, you say?
No, the beaches will pay 10,000 deposit, we'll pay 10,000 deposit.
So we have to find out how they, because if you pay $10,000, which is minimum pay.
Yeah, I have a strong confidence that we'll have an agreement to say we agree to do this and do it. And what we've done before is we've signed the agreement and then made the payment, and the payments ratify it. So, and I think I can trust the beach associations that they say that they're gonna pay it, that they'll pay it.
Can't verify.
Because there's three entities, and one is very for this project and believes in it. One is doubtful, and one is in between. But every time we've talked about stuff, and they said they do stuff that they always, their word has been backed up.
So those leaches that are under about four,
Yeah,
we feel that they're going to take it.
if they say they're gonna pay, they're gonna pay. Yeah. And,
Then I think we should.
well, let's see if we can get the deal together, have you look at it. Have everybody on this committee.
That would have to be special.
So,
Yeah.
Is there a time, that was first? Or
No, so I've asked our legal counsel, does this contract required to be done by September 1st? It does if we wanted to use the services by September 1st. We do not need the services by September 1st. It makes more sense to do it, but generally believing that we're just gonna extend the agreement, we're gonna sign the agreement, there might be a gap of a month, but we're not using it. We're gonna try and do it by September 1st, in which case, okay, that's another meeting in August. But it'll be an executive session meeting that will probably be a discussion, executive session, come out with a motion to accept. So it hopefully won't be that long of a meeting. And we do it if we have to do it. I mean, I don't want to haul anyone into this room if we don't have to do stuff. That's all that I had on item 4. I think, I don't know if I missed anything on item 4, which is the funding and all that stuff.
Does anyone have a comment on how that process is working?
It's okay. All right, I'm gonna move on to correspondence. We've covered a lot of correspondence. There was one freedom of information request about the meeting minutes. Why aren't they posted? And I answered, well, we're working on it, and they have since been posted. So I'm moving off of correspondence unless anyone has a question about correspondence.
It's also freedom of information for the plans. And the consent for the- and
No, we handle every freedom of information
Well,
request.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think you.
Do you want to remind me? I think it's about,
Mary Daly, requested.
well,
plans and specs.
so she had, I think, 3 questions and we answered the questions, but the plans.
IMA agreement.
Yeah, so the IMA agreements were given, the plans were not given, advice that since they're draft and they're part of the negotiation, that they're exempt from freedom of information, they're provided to anyone after they're completed. And they're so large that the idea is it'd probably be too expensive to copy. So the idea is you come to the town hall and you look at them. In case you're wondering what these plans are, Steve, can you describe the size of these plans? Because you're the one that had them printed.
Well, they're 24 by 32 rolled up.
24 by 32 rolled up. 23 pages. So it's not something like a, 2-page memo.
But regardless of what size they are, public shouldn't be looking at them until the finalized and approved. Because they're drafts. I don't think. It's not even our problem. It's not even the WPCA. I mean, we're paying for it, but it's within the current.
Well, it's a draft, and for that reason, it's part of the negotiation, and contractors will get it when it's a finalized plan. And it goes through the process.
That's someone that gets that plan prior to being complete. I mean, the contractor could ask for it and they would have, an advantage over,
Yeah,
someone else. Yes. You know. But the other 2 items that you did request were given to it.
they were. We respond all FOIs. Any other questions? Just make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so moving on to from correspondence to new business, any new business? WPCA members? Not hearing any, moving on to public comment. I think, I'm not sure everyone knows how this works. If you have a public comments, say your name, acknowledge your name, recognize your name, you can speak. It should be about the WPCA business. We don't get in the back and forth of question and answers. If you have a question, you can pose it, you can send an email or respond. We may respond back to the public comment session after we close it. So with that, I've unmuted the people that are in the public. Would anyone like to make a public comment?
Hi, good evening. This is Mary Daly.
Hi, Mary, you're recognized.
Thank you. Just in regard to the Freedom of Information request, that's correct. According to the state of Connecticut, Freedom of Information Bureau, drafts are exempt, but once they are no longer exempt, once they go out to bid and they're finalized, they should be made public to anyone who wants them. And since earlier you said you had them on a global secured site, I would think that you would make that available to everyone, not request that they print them page by page. So that's the only comment I need to make for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Let me write a note down. Any other public comment? if you're speaking, I'm not hearing you. Could be all the things seem to be unmuted, so it could be a microphone problem. I apologize, I'm not hearing you. Okay, I'm gonna end the public comment session and, now just respond, making the plans electronic. We'll probably do a thing like that. I know when they go out to bid, I think they're a secure, or download FTP site. That's what they did with the beach associations. These are large files. Graphics involved, so it's not something you can email. It's hard to move these files, to be quite honest. So we'd have to look into it.
A lot of times now, it's just a link to a printer. And you ask for it, they'll print it off and but it's still.
That could be too. You're right, the beach associations mentioned that there's pretty significant expenses for going out to bid. So we'll have to look at that. Yeah, okay. But just my statement is, I think, I'll follow the best practices and recommendations, but I want to be transparent, and I don't want to try to hide anything. I don't know. I think some of the people we have on this committee have specific experience with this and know how to read it. And I know back in the day when I was doing military harnesses, you had to understand blueprint reading to understand what you were looking at. Anyways, any other WPCA members want to make a comment before we close the meeting?
Just want to say thank you for all your hard work, guys and ladies.
Thank you, Brad. Okay, a motion to adjourn. Okay. Rob made a motion, Steve seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it's unanimous. Good night, everybody. Have a good day and, thanks for joining. Bye.
Bye.